Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your connected hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC. And when there's just too much cool anime to watch, we've got you covered. In these trying times, we try to keep a positive outlook on things here at ABF. So we'll start this season off the extra fluffy way by reviewing the mobile game misadventures of the Gourmet Guild from Princess Connect Redive. But of course, this wouldn't be a proper season premiere without talking about all the actual premieres from summer season. So, as usual, we'll do that in the sneak peek in a couple of moments. So join us for an easy breezy anime brain freezy time. No, I'm not high. Don't pause the pod. We'll be right back. Alright, here we are in the sneak peek, and it's kinda like we promised or predicted or whatever, as well as for reviews, as for season premieres, it's slim pickings this season. There's not that much going on. There are a bunch of shows returning from their COVID-induced hiatus that we might review, but have already talked about in a previous sneak peek or review. So let's just rattle those off first. We're not actually gonna really talk about them here. So for me, it's No Guns Live Season 2 or Core 2. I talked about the first couple of episodes of that in sneak peek, like I think 2 seasons ago. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna review that, but I have not watched more than those few episodes yet, so we'll see. I haven't checked out that Part 2 premiere, whatever, but yeah, that might come up. Food Wars, the 5th plate has returned. Of course, we're going to cover that. There is Digimon Adventure has returned. I'm pretty sure I will check that out at least for a while. I don't know how long they plan to make that actually run, if that's going to be in fucking endless series like Naruto or One Piece now with the reboot or not. No idea, but so far it looks interesting. Apparel Runman has returned or is about to return.
It just returned last week, so yes.
Okay, so there we go. So we might review that. Millionaire Detective, I think, has returned as well, or is about to as well. And I might check that out too. John, do you have anything that has returned from COVID break that you might cover?
Railgun is back after being on again, off again, on again, off again, and then on break. It was weird. They kind of were like airing an episode every other week, and then they finally were like, all right, screw it, we're taking a couple months off, which was, probably for the best anyway for the staff. But it's back. It's been pretty good so far. I don't know, unless it takes like a hard turn in the last part of this season. I'll probably at least mention it later on. And Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise second season started up again, and I mean, it's fine. I don't know if I'm going to end up talking about it though. They sort of decided to be like, hey, so Hiroto, the main character, was actually a background character in the first Build Divers series, and now is his story, which is like, okay, I guess that's neat. Also, we turned the story into Dot Hack Gundam because...
I mean, that doesn't need to be a bad thing. Dot Hack Sai was good.
It was, but, I just wonder if they can do it as, it doesn't... What made Dot Hack work was the intrigue.
That's true.
This doesn't really have that.
Instead it's, hey, look at all these shiny Gundams. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And...
I mean, your relationship to Build Divers has always been, or at least from my perspective, has been, I like it, but I wish it was more builders.
I wish it was more Build Fighters.
There we go.
Because
yes.
Build Fighters was exciting and hype. And I mean, they sort of touched on that a little bit when one of the episodes came back. They were like, hey, since we're sunsetting the... I forget what the old system was called that they used in Build Fighters. Like, now we're starting to implement, GBN online. And it was like, but that's not what I want. But, it's whatever. It's a show for kids. It's fine.
Yeah, sure.
And there's another show that I guess wasn't technically on hiatus, but was delayed because of ye old COVID. So I will bring that up when the time comes during the thing with the preview that we're about to do. Words.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, yeah, let's move over to that, actually. As usual, for the first-time listeners, we have the Nopes, the Maybes, and the Keepers. The Nopes are the shows that we checked out and immediately said, no thank you, our time is too precious for that, and that we immediately dropped. Then there are the Maybes for shows that, for one reason or another, we decide to check out a few more episodes of. And then finally, there are the Keepers, which are shows that we are very sure that we will review. Doesn't have to be a guarantee. Like, you see with last season, Blade of the Immortal was one of my keepers from one sneak peek. And I, for, time reasons and because I couldn't get myself to get back into that show for one reason or another, that turned out to be a drop after all as well. So it's not set in stone, but usually we stick with our keepers till the end. So
no, you have to stick to your guns. Your decisions are final. You're locked into your destiny. Yeah,
exactly. Otherwise, you're a dirty liar, apparently. I must live with that. Anyway. No. So, okay, John, why don't you start us off with the Nopes?
Super HXEROES.
Oh, okay, that's the porn superhero show, right?
I mean, it may as well be, in spite of all of the network censorship that's on the Funimation version of the show.
Lame.
So, in a world on the verge of great disaster that began 5 years ago, heroes who, with the help of a device called HXEROES, that's HXEROES for you at home, use the power of ecchi, H, in erotic power, arrow, my God, to save the planet from libido-devouring monsters.
Oh, God. The worst kind. You know what's that called? Old age.
No, they're called censorship bugs, Kiseichu. Enjo Reto and Hoshino Kirara are childhood friends who have drifted apart from each other. One day they're caught in a battle against one of these censorship bugs that feeds on human sexual energy to evolve. God damn it. After successfully taking down the enemy, they join a group of heroes like them using the erotic power of HXEROES of the HXEROES force to fight off monsters. Okay. All right. Okay. You know what? The show doesn't seem inherently bad, but it's kind of like, I'm good. All right. It's fine.
I don't know. Is the edgy stuff too off-putting? I mean, you're not averse to checking out sexier shows, so
I'm not, but I watched like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was just like, Okay. I mean...
Is comedy not your brand of hilarity, or?
I don't even know. I just sort of was like, yeah, I think I can probably pretty safely skip this. And I mean, the production value wasn't like terrible on the show either. So it wasn't like me being like, oh yeah, I can't just point to one thing and be like, oh yeah, the animation was like distractingly bad. No, it was fine. I was just sort of like, a couple episodes in, and I was like, I could waste my time watching other stuff.
True. I guess for me, I didn't check out the show, but it would all depend on. I assume this is a comedy-heavy show. I don't think this would be a serious thing with that premise. No. All right.
Absolutely.
So then the question for me is, because comedy about sexual topics in anime tends to be always the fucking same. It's usually always the same 1 or 2 jokes that's driven into the fucking ground. Someone falls on someone with their boobs. Someone gets accidentally touches someone. Whatever, all that shit. And, someone loses their clothes in front of another person or whatever. And I wonder if you do a whole show about edgy stuff where that is the comedy anchor and it's more about, I don't know, more action focused and everything and hijinks. Yeah, I wonder if that can sustain 12 episodes in terms of how many jokes can you tell with that premise, actually. So
I think the manga started in 2017 and it's somehow still going. So
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So, I mean, you know.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I can see what the appeal might be. But, yeah. But I don't know how far they go into that territory either. So if it turns into downright hentai stuff like the title maybe promises, or if it's just, here, funny new character with a funny sex gimmick or something. I don't know. I just don't know what to make of that show in terms of the premise and everything and how long they're going to keep that. If you say it's been running since 2017 or something, what the hell? Okay. Now I'm kind of interested. This is bad. Morbid curiosity. But yeah. Okay. But I can understand why you would say, nope, I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah, I think I can live without it.
Okay. Probably better for you. Speaking of being fine and alright and no thank you and I'm good and everything, Gibiate, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
I'm pretty sure it's Gibiate.
Okay, Gibiate then. A show I was interested in because when we went to Comic-Con in New York last year, when people were still allowed to gather in large crowds.
In the before times.
In the olden times. I sat in on a panel for Yoshitaka Amano, who is the character designer for a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff and also for Vampire Hunter D. Both things I really like, and I like his artwork and stuff like that. Angels Eki was also responsible for that. And he promoted this as the next show where he did character designs for it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, interesting, I'll check that out. And yeah, it's about the story is about a global pandemic. How timely. Which turns people into monsters. And there is this woman named Kathleen who is trying to develop a vaccine and is aided by a time-traveling samurai and ninja. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was just like, wait, what is that sci-fi premise? And then suddenly time-traveling samurai and ninjas, and apparently people from other eras as well. I think we're getting a pirate or something later too. I don't know.
Jesus.
Yeah, whatever. Not the worst premise in itself, but holy shit, are the story and characters in terms of setup and writing super generic and stereotypical. Like, everything in that first episode was like, holy fucking shit, is this from the fucking bad 90s era? What is this? and the animation is not great either. Like, the CG monsters are especially bad. And the OP? Whoa, okay. That is usually the thing that you use as an eye catcher and trying to pull people in, and that OP looks so fucking bad. It's like...
Okay, hey, I'm glad you agree then.
Yeah, we got some B-roll here. Let's throw that into the OP for some what the fuck? Oh my god, no, this looks like garbage. And not the fun kind of garbage, like something like Killing Bites or, I don't know, Big Order. Right, or fucking... Handshakers or something like that, where you can get...
Why do you always have to remind me Handshakers exists?
Because I can't forget it! It's burned into my mind, John, because I reviewed it. But yeah, that was, at least in some way, that was a fun experience because it was such a clusterfuck and so much of what were they thinking that it was hilarious. But this feels so fucking trite and boring. Like, this was the most bored I was I was even considering finishing that first episode, or not finishing that first episode, because I was so fucking bored out of my mind. And every part of dialogue was so bad and stilted, and the writing was so horrible and cliche, and Jesus Christ, this show. No, this was...
So, So you didn't get through the second episode, did you?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh boy, because there's a scene where the old man from the first episode reappears with a katana, gives it to Sensui, I think that's his name, the past
guy.
samurai man.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's able to cut up the monsters because now he has his sword. He's equipped, and the old guy's just like, oh, samurai-san, you're so cool. And I was just like, oh my fucking god, are you serious with this?
Hey, cool Japan. Get it? God, no, this is, no.
As soon as he said that, I was like, fuck you.
Yeah, you fucking nerd. That guy.
And then he died. Oops, oh well.
All right. Well, he died happily watching some samurai cut up a monster. How cool.
You know, dude, though, but the ninja dude, I don't fucking care what his name was. He was like, he has some grenades and he's throwing them around to attack the monsters. And Sensui's like, man, you adapted fast. And he's like, yeah, dude, these modern weapons are the shit. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Someone's trying to get in on the modern day action. I like you. Everything else is like,
yeah, definitely not. I'm not gonna keep on watching that thing. That was so fucking not what I wanted or what I expected or whatever. It's bad, and I don't want it on my TV screen. So,
it was a hard pass for me too.
Yeah, and John, I believe you have one more nope, but
it's one of your keepers, so
yes,
we're going to talk about it.
I think that has never happened before, so that will be interesting.
Maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's go for the maybes first. John, why don't you tell us what your first maybe is?
We were talking about it during the segment before about shows that got pushed back because of COVID, and it's back. You know, it's always back. It's gotta be back. It's Sword Art Online War for the Underworld Part 2. I want to die.
Self-fulfilling prophecy. There forever will be Sword Art Online.
I'm Stockholm Syndromes to it. And boy, that first episode back, I was like, this is really, oh my god. It's the worst it's ever been.
Okay. I was about, hey, this is actually not bad, but apparently not.
Part 1 of War for Underworld was tolerable.
Was it better than the first part of Alicization, or?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
that's a low bar, but you know.
And then they come back with this, and so TLDR, I'm not even going to read the summary I wrote. TLDR, the paramilitary guys who came in onto the Ocean Turtle and tried to take it over were like, hey, we're just going to open up Underworld so that the rest of the world can log in and help us, you know, fuck everything up so we can get Alice's Fluctolite or fucking whatever. And here comes the cavalry, Asuna, and everyone else is going to log in Underworld and they're going to help out. And Asuna, Shino, and Suguha take over like these super admin account characters who are supposed to be like the three goddesses of the underworld, and it's like, yeah, all right, sure. And then it was the first or second episode, they kill off the main bad guy, but he's like, hey, guess what? I could just log back in anytime. And it's like, oh, good. Another story where there's no consequence for death. Great. And there's other gross things that happen along the way that I'm going to save to talk about later.
Yay! Looking forward to that review. Not to actually watching the show, but, you know, shared suffering is half the suffering. I don't know what the phrase is in English. In German, it's geteiltes Leid ist halbes Leid. But, yeah.
Yeah, it should be a drop. But I'm going to keep watching it because I have to stay informed. Because for those of you who are just now listening to my opinions in Sword Art Online, welcome. I don't like it. But I feel like saying Sword Art is bad and writing it off You could do that. But I want to watch it and see why that is so I can have an informed opinion. This is reserved almost exclusively for Sword Art Online because I don't know why. Because the show has had some good moments here and there, and I have said I liked SAO2 and the Gun Gale arc and Mother's Rosary. I sort of liked the movie too, but everything else is just like this roller coaster that goes from to
to oh god no.
I want off Kawahara's wild ride. And the worst part is some of the shit that went down in the first episode of this season, it's not even his fault. And we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
But thankfully, though, we only have to suffer through 11 episodes this time.
Oh, now that's definitely. Hooray! All right. All right. My first maybe is The God of High School. So after Tower of God from the previous season, this is the next Crunchyroll collab with Korean producer Webtoon. And it's about a mixed martial arts tournament between schools. I think it's schools.
Makes sense.
Which has I mean, it's in the title, though some of the people taking place just don't look like they are from fucking high school. So that's why I'm wondering about it, actually. But, ages and enemy characters, it's, not always a clear thing.
So what's the deal with every character's nose being really red?
Yeah, that's a weird stylistic choice that I don't look like either. It looks like most of them are drunk.
I guess
have a cold.
that was sort of like a thing that a lot of artists on Tumblr used to do, which makes me wonder.
Maybe, I mean, Webtoon, I think, is a portal for Korean webcomics, and this is one of those successful series, and maybe that was just the style of the original, of the manhwa, whatever. So they tried to adapt that. I haven't looked at the original artwork, so I don't know how it looks like, but that might be the case. So anyway, that tournament has like lots of public relevance, apparently. There's a lot of contenders. And holy shit. There's a bicycle chase in the first episode, which is probably one of the most hilarious, kinetic, action-packed, well-animated introduction to a party of three main characters I have ever seen. Tremendous fun. I laughed, I gasped, I yelled, oh shit, and I clapped at the end. It was really fucking good, and it looks like MAPPA, who are animating this, are literally killing themselves by doing the fight scenes. I mean, I hope not, but they look that good. Yeah, this is a fucking... Aside from the weird stylistic choices when it comes to character design, this is a really good looking show. The action, the fight scenes so far have been just fucking amazing. Like I said, the bicycle chase scene in the beginning is something I don't think I've ever seen it that way before, and it's fucking great. And I hope the show stays that way and doesn't completely fall apart at the halfway point or something. I don't know, because all the animators fucking suffocated on their own sweat or something. I don't... or drowned in their own sweat, I should say. But yeah, it looks amazing. No idea if the story will be able to hold my interest. The writing is a bit here and there. I don't really know. The characters are sympathetic, especially the three main characters. Like, they are super fun. The way they are introduced, the way they instantly connect, become friends instantly and everything. It's just fun times every time these three are together and interacting. There's one character, I believe, who wants to revive the sword teaching school of her father. There is another guy, forgot his name, who is trying to apparently win this tournament to get prize money to help cure a good friend of his who's suffering from a cancerish looking disease. Good luck with that. I don't know. And then there is our last guy, which is basically Son Goku, because he just wants to fucking fight. And he kind of looks like him too. It's definitely the inspiration is very clear on that guy. But yeah, those are just fun three main characters, and the way they interact with each other is really nice and cute and lovable. And yeah, it's just it's just fun times. It's a really fun show to watch. I just hope there's a bit more substance to it down the road, because up till now there's mostly, aside from a bit of character development for our three mains, there's mostly just the fighting and some weird thing going on in the background. Actually, gods might be involved. I don't know. Yeah, it's. I'll get into it if I actually review it. But there's a turn in the third or fourth episode where I was like, "Oh, okay, we're in JoJo's territory now." So.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, I didn't expect that, and there's a bunch of shit coming. So. I might stick with that. I don't know yet. It all depends on where the story is going. If it's just the fights, if they keep looking like that, sure, I might stick with it just for that reason alone. If that falls apart and the story doesn't go anywhere, might not stick with it. So we'll see. For now, it's got my interest peaked, and like I said, it looks really good. So,
I mean, I've seen a few clips of it, and it looked good. And that intro theme is a fucking banger.
Oh yeah, that's. I've listened to that way too much already. Holy shit.
Also, I love during the intro sequence the blatant self-insert of the Webtoon and Crunchyroll logos on the ring.
And that's through the entirety of the show. So, anyway, yeah, it's fun. So, yeah, if you are into fighting anime, maybe check that out. John, your next maybe.
My next maybe is my last maybe. It's Rent-A-Girlfriend.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You knew this would show up.
Yes, I did.
So Rent-A-Girlfriend is about this college student named Kazuya Kinoshita. He just got dumped by his girlfriend, Mommy, and he's just trying to pick himself back up and get himself back together, and he wants to fill the hole in his heart using this rental service from this app. You can rent anyone can fill the role that you want, so in this case, why not rent a girlfriend? So he rents this girl named Chizuru Mizuhara, and she seems to be this perfect girl who's got great looks and a caring personality. But Kazuya sees these mixed opinions on her profile after their first date, and he's still kind of feeling weird after his previous relationship. So he thinks that Chizuru is just, playing around with the hearts of these people that she goes out on dates with, and leaves her this bad rating. And when he tries to confront her on a second date, Chizuru's true self comes out, because he's very sassy and temperamental, and just why the fuck did you leave that rating on my profile? My overall rating went down by 0.1. I'll have you know. So at that moment, Kazuya receives news that his grandmother has collapsed and is in the hospital, and is kind of forced to bring Chizuru along with him. And even though it turns out to be nothing serious, his grandmother is so happy that Kazuya has finally found what she thinks is a serious girlfriend, which had always been her wish.
No. The pressure.
And since Kazuya can't find it in him to tell his grandmother the truth, he and Chizuru are forced into this fake relationship. And this is a story, oh god, it's all about just bad decisions, and he's got some real shithead friends, so trying to navigate through toxic friendships, and just it's a bad time for everyone involved. And he keeps perpetuating this lie, yeah, I'm going to tell everyone the truth. Then something else happens, and oh no, I can't yet. I can't now. And when the ex meets the rental girlfriend, oh no.
The worst thing that could happen.
Oh no.
Drama and hijinks.
It's definitely a story of compounding bad decisions one after another.
Is it funny, or is it a fucking misunderstandings jerkfest as gamers?
I mean, I don't think it's misunderstandings so much. Maybe for some of the side characters, but like I don't think it's so much misunderstanding so much as it is conveniently trying to hide away the truth to suit your own needs.
Okay.
And part of me is curious to see what's going to happen when the truth is finally out, but you know, I don't know if I'll stick with it. It's at least a very pretty and well produced show. It's, you know, TMS are doing some hard work on it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I don't know. I'll see. I'll see where the winds take me on this one. But I just, part of me wants to see the train wreck at the end.
I can see why.
But yeah, it's at least a very nicely produced train wreck. So what do you got for us next?
My last maybe is Japan Sings, which is the new series by Studio Saru, the studio of Masaki Yuasa, who also made Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, my review from last season, and Devilman Crybaby. And this is based on a rather famous novel, which is a disaster story. So Japan is hit by a major earthquake. Nothing unusual for that, but it's actually so strong that Japan slowly starts to sink into the ocean and is about to disappear. And the first episode is about a family of four and them trying to find each other again after the earthquake because they're all in different parts of Tokyo. And I haven't seen a show that so effortlessly switches between building an effective, enthralling atmosphere of dread and tearing at your heartstrings with like heartfelt emotional moments in a long while. So yeah, I really liked that first episode. It was really good, just in terms of tense moments, like the seconds right before and after the first big shock hits are spellbinding and masterfully staged, just in terms of build up, in terms of music, in terms of scene selection, in terms of animation. Everything is really just you know that something horrible is gonna happen and you're on the edge of your seat and everything, and then you see the fallout after that and you want to know who got out and everything and what actually happened, and it's riveting to watch. And yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. I hope this won't turn into pure tragedy porn, but I haven't read the source material, and there are some red flags at the end of the first episode, so we'll see. This might be one of those, hey, everyone is gonna fucking die, because at the end of the first episode, they take a picture with everyone in front of the fucking tree, and then that tree then there is blood being spilled on the tree, which is like, hey, here's the most obvious metaphor you can throw in here. And I'm like, okay, let's see. This is gonna be the Walking Dead anime for... Fuck. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind drama and tragedies, but there has to be some substance to it. It doesn't... You can't just kill off characters and expect me to care if, you know, they're not well built up, or if the deaths are not, you know, meaningful in a way. So we'll see what they do with that. And it's only 10 episodes, and all of them have already been released to Netflix at the same time. So you can actually watch the entire series right now if you don't want to wait for the review. But yeah, right now I'm in. I'm not sure in terms of where the show is actually gonna go, what's gonna do with its characters, if I'm gonna like that, but I'm willing to find out for now. So we'll see. We'll see. Right now I'm interested, but that might change down the road depending on the choices the show makes. All right. So that's it for the maybes. And it's time to finally get to our keepers. John, why don't you give us your first keeper?
My first keeper is my teen rom-com SNAFU Climax. This is sort of a unique thing because this is the third season of this show, and we hadn't really had a chance to talk about it previously. I also don't know if I will talk about it at the end of the season, because here's the thing about this show. The first season was in 2013, the second season was in 2015, and it's been 5 years since that second season. So I like this. I'll talk about the story overview a little in just a minute, but I like this story and I like the characters. but it's also been 5 years, and I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't at least make an effort to go back and rewatch it to refresh my memory on
I would do
certain
the
things.
same. I mean, I did
Because
the same for Full Metal Panic when Invisible Victory came out. So
because this third season, it starts up exactly where it stopped. And I kind of remember certain things, but other details, I'm like, wait, hold on. So I definitely do want to go back and rewatch it from top to bottom, so I feel like I can get back into the story that was there a little bit more. Because it's all about this guy, Hachiman Hikigaya. That's a name for you. He's an apathetic high school student with narcissistic and semi-nihilistic tendencies.
sounds like a cool guy.
Yeah, he has certain worldviews.
Oh,
he firmly believes that joyful youth is nothing but a farce, and everyone who says otherwise is just lying to themselves.
Okay.
In a novel punishment for writing an essay mocking modern social relationships, Hachiman's teacher forces him to join the Volunteer Service Club, a club that aims to extend a helping hand to any student who seeks their support in achieving their goals, with the only club member being the beautiful ice queen Yukino Yukinoshita. There's a thing with names that they do where it's just kind of like doubling up the name, by the way, that becomes a theme. Hachiman finds himself on the front line of other people's problems, a place he never dreamed he would be. As Hachiman and Yukino use their wits to solve many students' problems, will Hachiman's rotten view of society prove to be a hindrance or a tool he can use to his advantage? And, Hachiman is very... I think I said it at the beginning was best nihilistic. just not really defeatist, but more like, this sort of like, why bother? We're all going to return to the eventual heat death of the universe anyway sort of attitude. Maybe not quite on those terms, but it's definitely a journey of trying to connect with the people around him and, just like see that, hey, maybe the world isn't 100% awful. And they introduce like this pretty wide cast of characters as the story goes on, and each of them have their own problems and the relationships that they have with each other, as well as, the friendships that Hachiman sort of initially pushes away but finds himself sort of getting drawn into. I don't know. It's an interesting story with a lot of moving parts. So that's why I want to go back and rewatch it. But I will say it's from what I remember in the past, it's good stuff. It has some pretty solid emotional beats to it. So, it's neat. I like it.
Cool. Sounds like fun times.
It's definitely a little outside of the wheelhouse of your standard high school rom-com, which I like, and it's good. It's good. It's good to do things different.
I was about to say that's a rare occurrence and always appreciated. Like
somebody's got to do different things every once in a while, and it's good. It's hard to find a good rom-com. I mean, I could list a few off the top of my head, but like the really truly great stuff, it's so few and far between. Like you could say, oh, there's these rom-coms airing this season. Like the reason why I'm maybe on Rent-A-Girlfriend is because it's, even though it seems like it'll have some fun repercussions for our main character, it's doing a lot of things that a lot of other stories have done before. So, so I like something with a little different flavor to it. Okay, but
I can see why. I mean, I would be the same. When it comes to, I rarely drift towards romantic comedy stuff, very rarely, but if so, it kind of needs to be something out of high school or have a very interesting twist to it. Otherwise, it doesn't work for me. So this, doing something different with this is always good in my eyes anyway. All right.
Oh, yeah. So that's the first of my keepers. What do you got? Well, I know what you got next.
Yeah, exactly. The same you got, which is Fire Force Season 2, a show both of us liked.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make it to best of the season, but was a really good shonen output. Not all the way through, the middle was a bit but beginning and end were very strong, and thankfully it continues the trend from the ending of the first season and really wastes no time. Right from the get-go, gets us right into the action and plot escalation, which I really appreciate. The enemy faction, the Evangelists, make their next big move. We get new cast members, new crazy bullshit moves. The Sakuga in the first couple of episodes was fucking bonkers. There's at least one impressively animated and choreographed action scene in almost every episode. Like, there was one in one of the recent ones, I think the newest one, where Shinra is throwing a new bad guy, Karan, through a building. And that looked amazing.
Yeah, oh my god. I watched that scene last week and I was like, oh.
Yeah, they're like, Karen's also a cool character, like the way he's set up and everything, where he just fucking slowly walks and explosions every time he fucking steps on the ground. It's really cool. And yeah, Arthur is still fantastic. Damn, I love that fucking idiot. And he's great! He's fucking great.
He is excellent.
He's the best character in the show, and I won't accept any opinion differing from that. So, I'm sorry. He's amazing. One of the best comedic relief characters I've seen in ages. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Fire Force Season 2. It's still great shonen time. Don't expect much more from it right now, but everything in that regard, it does really well. It's fun times. Great soundtrack, great animation all the way through. David Projection is fucking hitting it out of the park. And just looking forward to more Fire Force. Good times. Okay, so let's get to my final keeper and your final nope, John. So why don't you tell us about Deca-Dence?
Do I have to be? Okay, all right.
Just the first part, where you still were interested, and then I can take over.
Okay, so many years have passed since humanity was driven to the brink of extinction by the sudden emergence of the unknown life forms, the Gadol. Mm-hmm. Those humans that survived now dwell on a 3,000-meter-high mobile fortress called Deca-Dence, built to protect themselves from the Gadol threat. Denizens of Deca-Dence fall into two categories: gears, warriors who fight the Gadol daily, so I guess they would be gears of war.
God damn it. I didn't even think about that. Fuck.
And tankers, those without the skills to fight. One day, Natsume, a tanker girl who dreams of becoming a gear, meets the surly Kaburagi, an armor repair man of the Deca-Dence. This chance meeting between these two seemingly opposites, the girl with a positive attitude who never gives up on her dreams, and the realist who has given up on his, will eventually shake the future course of this world. And this all sounded great to me. Mm-hmm. And, because being directed by Yuzuru Tachikawa and written by Hiroshi Seko. We've talked about them when we talked about Mob Psycho, and I was like, yeah, sure, I want to see what they're working on. And then...
Yeah, and then there's a giant-ass swerve in the second episode, which I won't give away because I think it's fucking great, especially when they follow up on that in the third episode. Because in the second episode, it's all like, what the fuck is happening? It's really, like, for a moment you wonder, wait, am I watching a different show? What is going on here? What the fuck? It changes art styles completely. It's like watching a fucking episode of fucking Pop Team Epic. Some weird non sequitur follow-up to the first episode. It's like, wait, was that a prank? And yeah, they try to explain some things, and it's not all very clear yet. And in terms of character motivation, it gets a bit muddy. But in my opinion, follows that up with a very strong third episode, and everything clicked for me. And it was like, I was in the first episode, then very confused in the second episode, and then the third episode, I was even more in again. Now, not to mention that the OP is fucking fantastic, but. Yeah, I really like the twist to that. It's kind of a twist to a kind of trite genre in a way, but the way they do that here, I think, is really cool. And I really want to see where they go with that. And yeah, in the beginning, I wasn't sure about at least one of our main characters, Kaburagi. But with the third episode, I'm like, oh, okay, I get this now. Or with the second answer together. And yeah, I'm in. I like it. John, this switch in tone and everything was apparently too, I don't know, off-putting for you and weird.
The whole second episode, I was like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
what?
So was I. And then I made an effort. I was like, okay, I'm still going to check out the third episode because this is so weird that it's intriguing to me.
I did still watch the third episode, but I was still kind of like,
Okay, so it hasn't clicked for you. Okay, that's fine. For me, it did. And I really liked it. I don't say I'm going to like it all the way through, but right now I'm super in because everything... This screams a bunch of different things to me that I like, or makes me remember a bunch of different things that I like. Attack on Titan is in there, Kill la Kill to an extent, Gurren Lagann to an extent, Mob Psycho 100 to an extent. There's a bunch of mismatched things and themes already that I'm like, oh, okay, I think I see what you're doing here, and I like it a lot, and I want to see where it goes. So... yes, I like Deca-Dence. I like where it's going. I like what it's trying to do so far. Don't be put off by the swerve in the second episode, in my opinion. At least check out the third. If you then still are like John and says, no, this is still not for me, then sure, it's fine. But don't be discouraged by the second episode alone, in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. It's interesting, and John is not gonna keep up with it, but I'll let you know if it's worth to keep watching or not once I'm doing the review. But right now, I'm very much interested to see what Hiroshi Seko and Yuzuru Tachikawa have prepared for me here. Yes, I will find out. Okay, all right, that's it for the sneak peek this time. Not that many shows, but some promising ones here. And we might stick with some of those. And don't forget, there are all the shows that are coming back from hiatus. And, some of those we might keep around as well. So there are probably more shows to review next season than there are this season. But there are some this season. And we're gonna review the first one right now.
So, if there's two things that are the bane of anime adaptations in my eyes, it's light novels, which are such a weird mixed bag, and mobile games, which,
yes.
Also a weird mixed bag. But, sometimes you're curious about something for so long that you just are kind of like chomping at the bit for anything. So when it was announced that a certain new game that had been worked on by Cygames was getting its own anime adaptation done in-house by their own animation studio, I was like, yeah, I want to check out Princess Connect Redive. Had only really known about it because of the game's existence, kind of touched on it real lightly once or twice. There had been rumors swirling around of it getting localized, but there's been nothing since. So I'm kind of hoping that with this anime, they've drummed up enough support to be like, yeah, we'll do the English language thing, and then I could play and actually, understand it, because my comprehension of written Japanese is not super good.
Same.
But yeah, so Princess Connect Redive, the animated series, is kind of the next best thing, in my opinion. So what's it all about? Well, in the land of Estrella, a young man falls from the sky, possessing no memories other than his name, Yuki. A young woman named Kokoro finds him, introducing herself as his guide in the world that they are about to traverse. With Kokoro's guidance, Yuki is able to learn how this world works, from battling monsters to handling currency. It's a lot of learning, especially on the currency part. To earn money for their journey, Yuki and Kokoro decide to go to a nearby guild association to accept a simple quest. In their expedition, they meet Pecorine, a somewhat gluttonous but charming girl skilled in battle. The next day, they also meet Carol, a cat girl specializing in magic. After some time, a bond of friendship and camaraderie forms between them, and the four decide to create a guild of their own. And depending on which translation you go with, it's either the Gourmet Guild or Gourmet Edifice, I believe. Mm-hmm. As they continue their adventures, they explore the world, meet new people, and will perhaps uncover the mystery behind Yuki's missing memories. Oh boy. So I feel like the logical place to start is to talk about who directed and in part composed the script for this show, and that was one Takaomi Kanasaki, who we mentioned during Konosuba.
Yes, which was the one thing that got me to check out this show. It's like, oh, okay, everything about this sounds like I don't want to watch this, but hey, the guy who was responsible for Konosuba is kind of behind this, so why the fuck not?
It's aggressively not Konosuba insofar that it's got all of the same hijinks, but not like the same sort of like meme-spirited assholery between the characters.
It's not even remotely as cynical. There's some really good off-kilter jokes in there that feels like, oh, this is straight out of Konosuba's handbook. But, like you said, all the characters like each other in a way. They are nice to each other. It's mostly just good times all around. It's just like some bad things happen. Some they are responsible for, some they are not. And, in a way, a bunch of them are also idiots, like in Konosuba, but they are more, let's say, good-hearted. I mean, the Konosuba guys are also all good-hearted in a way. They're just,
they are definitely more out for themselves, though. Yeah,
they have a bit more of an edge to them. Aside from maybe one character, there is not that much edge in Princess Connect. Not really. Yeah. So, like I said in the introduction at the very beginning, this is a very fluffy show. Mm-hmm. This is like, hey, if you want to like turn off the bad thoughts, which in the current state of the world is something you might want to do, and just want to fucking lean back, let all the fucking moe wash over you, and fucking consume all the food on screen with your eyes. And I don't mean the anime girls, I mean actual food that is prepared on a regular basis in the show, because it's the Gourmet Guild after all. Then you will have a good time, I think. So, John, more about the non-Konosuba world, but kinda, but also not, but maybe.
I just, man. So this show is definitely, or this particular series is definitely about the world building and getting to know the characters, because it's a waifu game, so of course there's going to be a billion of them.
Oh boy!
But I feel like the one thing it does right is we sort of meet some of the characters, maybe a couple or three at a time, and they're not always there. They sort of come and go. It's sort of like a rotating cast. So, I don't ever feel like it's overwhelming, which is the thing that Azure Lane should have done.
It's just like you introduce to a new set of characters, then to a new one, then the one you've been previously introduced to return for another episode story, then we get another set of new ones, and on the sidelines you got a bunch of different side characters that always, appear here and there, but also are all kind of like part of this town they're in, which is Lando's Sol, I think is what it's called or something. Mm-hmm. And the way they are always part of the story in a way, or often, is really well done, a way to make the town feel like a living, breathing place, and something you want to return to and you're feeling kind of welcome in and everything. So I was kind of surprised how acquainted I got to the weird, kooky side characters in the story, more so than the actual girls that were highlighted. No, what I was more interested in was the weird, giant-ass, fat gourmet guy who's voiced by Shigeru Chiba, who also did, I think, Buggy from One Piece, and I love his performance in that. So that's great. The fucking cook, master cook, who's like the super stern, hardened dude, voiced by Kenjiro Tsuda, who comes across as really tough, but actually is not so tough at all.
Yeah.
And saying shit, and that's my lifeblood. Like Kenjiro Tsuda is saying shit in English. Fucking amazing. I love it. Characters like these two goofy side dudes who try to rob Pecorine in the beginning and then become kind of, I don't know, her posse in a way, her followers.
I love that Charlie is... He's not Kazuma. Don't think about it. Don't think too hard about it. He's not Kazuma, though.
No. Not even remotely. You see, all these characters are not really part of the main crew and not even the returning characters. And some of the girls that appear also have an important part in the plot when it actually gets going, because there's some plot in the story. None of these really do have a part. They're just, stuffing on the side, but really good and tasty stuffing. They're really fun. Like, the whole world in this is kind of adorable, and especially the side characters are super adorable in this. So that's what kept me going, seeing these weird, quirky side characters. Not so much, hey, here's a fucking new waifu thrown at you, and you know why it's on the fucking screen. I mean, they have character too, and some of that is funny as well. Some of it to me was really grating. Your senses are more hardened to that, John, and more resistant, but, there are a lot
I have my limits too, but,
There are a lot of cute, sometimes very small and little girls with very squeaky, screechy voices.
Oh, so what you're saying is you loved all the girls in Little Lyrical. Got it.
Yeah. Pass! Anyway... Yeah, that was a bit too much of that for me, for my taste, but I got over it and was like, okay, I can deal. There's enough funny and nice and entertaining shit here to bear with that. But there's some conversations in there where it gets really high pitched, it gets really loud, it gets really back and forthy, and not with really substantial dialogue, but just characters screaming at each other. So if you're very averse to that kind of comedy, that kind of brand of dialogue that is supposed to make the girls kind of cute and ditzy or adorable or something, which is very prevalent, I think, in, I don't know, in waifu games, but definitely in moe shows. Maybe, I don't know, that show isn't for you. I'm just saying there's a bunch of stuff on the side that might keep you going regardless, because it is so for me.
God, there's so much goofy shit to try and break down in this show, but I think there were some great individual moments in there. Yuki is sick at one point. Oh no, what are we gonna do? We have to find a doctor. So they take him to this shady back alley clinic run by this guild called Twilight Caravan, and oh boy, because there's a scene in a previous episode where Yuki runs across one of the girls from that guild, not knowing who she is, whatever, and she's fallen down on the street and leaves her with some food, and he's like, "Do your best, yeah," and he walks away, and all of a sudden, "You're my soulmate," and it's like, oh no. So
maybe not even ex-girlfriend yet, but almost.
So when we find out that this girl Eriko is one of the members of Twilight Caravan, Operation Bust Yuki the fuck out of there commences in earnest, and it's just this weird ass, wild ass jailbreak episode that's super great and super fun. And then they find a doctor afterward, and he says, "Oh God, what's the girl's name? Mitsuki." It's like, "Oh, you brought him to Mitsuki's place. Well, she's a bit eccentric, but she's the real deal." And he, Kokoro, and Pecorine all look at each other because they left Carol behind for dead, and they're like, "Oh no, what did we do?"
But, she actually took good care of Yuki, apparently, because he's barely sick anymore. But yeah, it's kind of fun and endearing. It, changes... it plays around with your expectations a bit, while throwing some very good jokes in there. And yeah, I feel like that scene with Eriko was like a backhanded move by the guy who made Konosuba, saying, "Hey, never help people. It will come back and haunt you and bite you in the ass." So that feels like something that Konosuba would say at the end of an episode. But yeah, it was fun times. So, and there are a bunch of episodes like that in the show. There's some very low-key ones in terms of, actual excitement and everything. And some are just pure joke episodes. And the episodes with the kids, I could just fucking skip.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you might feel that way. But,
yeah,
I was sort of like, all right.
Yeah, that's fine. I was like, okay, oh god. I get back to the other stuff. But I mean, there are enough fun things in there, and some of the most fun things are the main characters. Like Kokoro, who is the fun thing is, you would think that Yuki is the main character, but he really isn't in this show. Like plot wise, he kind of is. But he's more the plot device, because Yuki is you, I assume. He is the player. That's why he's a fucking mute most of the time. That's why he has to learn about the world. That's why he has amnesia. That is why, aside from, certain plot reasons, he doesn't really have that much agency or any character motivations besides being a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. I gotta give him that. He's trying his darndest.
He's kind of a nothing character, but you know what? He's a good boy.
He's a good boy, yes. But also kind of like a blank slate in terms of what actual character development. And he's trying, he's really working hard and everything, and that's kind of it. But he's also a very good source of comedic relief. He, in the very first episode, because he has no fighting prowess whatsoever, and Kokoro finds him, is like, "Oh, you're my master, and I will support you, and you are probably super strong." And then he gets fucking adopted by a bunch of derpy wolves, which I fucking love. These wolves are amazing. I want a plush of one of those. That's really fun, and there are a bunch of these scenes where just Yuki gets fucking ravaged by someone.
He gets sandbagged super hard every time.
Yeah, super hard, yes. And weirdly enough, that's never something that really keeps him down for long. That's the sickness he gets for some reason. That's worse than all the monsters that fucking dunk on his fucking ass. But it's entertaining, and like I said, there's some plot things that come in later where he gains more relevance in some way or another. But more so, again, he gets more interesting because of the characters that are connected to him, more than him being actually interesting. So, because you want to know more about the characters that interact with him and that talk to him and that he's connected to. But yeah, I can already imagine what he is and what's happening, but still, it's like, oh, okay. And some of those characters, it's like, oh, we've met these characters, but apparently they're someone completely different and they fulfill a different role and everything. So the show does that too. And so that's neat. And then we got Kokoro, who is like this, on the surface, this super nice and kind of demure and friendly girl. And she just wants to be of service to her master and wants him to do good and everything. And I love her face every time something really dumb happens to Yuki. Just a fucking X in the mouth where she's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. What am I supposed to do with that? Fuck.
There's a lot of...
It's a good expression.
There's a lot of crazy facial expressions all throughout. God damn, it's so good.
Yeah,
it gets me every time they made a stupid face.
Yeah, a lot of stupid faces in this show. But yeah, she is also, aside from that, I mean, there's some development in terms of, becoming friends with the other characters and everything, and finding her own way, and, learning about the world as well and everything. And cooking is also part of that, kind of in a way, and whatever. But I think the two most interesting characters, both character development-wise and story-wise, are Pecorine and Carol. both for reasons story-wise we can't give away because they kind of come at the very end of the show. I mean, one of them is kind of made clear at the midpoint of the show, and that relates to Carol and what her role is and why she joined the party and everything, and what her connection is to Pecorine and everything. And then Pecorine's backstory we get at the very end, so I won't give that away right now. But yeah, those were the most interesting things, and once we learned that, how that puts into perspective all the stuff they have been doing, and that was actually pulled off kind of well. And I expected those to be like also super generic or fluffy, background stories, but they kind of are not in a way. I was surprised how heartfelt Pecorine's stuff was.
That got me pretty good.
Yeah, it was good, and it's like, oh, okay, that character that mostly up to now just ate a lot and was kind of ditzy and very loud and kind-hearted, but very genki and everything. Your typical strong-hearted Moiga with really, really big knockers. So but there is some substance to her. So who knew?
I also love that the name, I assume, is derived from peccary, which is a pig-like mammal. So that
live
live in
a double pun on peccary and also pecco being the sound when you're hungry, I think.
Yes, but
peccary. Double. Yeah. It's a double. I think it's a double pun on both those things.
They got us coming and going with that joke.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot one of the best side characters in the story. Rima, which is this Genki princess llama that is an actual llama for most of the show's runtime. I mean, she can transform into a human too, but mostly she's a llama in a fucking bikini that randomly spits when it's excited. Amazing.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I knew about some of the characters going into this, but I was like, oh, excuse me? I'm sorry?
Very stylish, very fluffy, definitely not a donkey. Needs to be said. She's very insistent on that. A bunch of fun things in this show, but still, I would say it's mostly like fluffy, fun, not shallow, but very lighthearted and very easygoing. There's not that much, even though the show is about a lot of food, there's not that much super meaty stuff to it, aside from maybe two characters. It's just like, hey, here are these characters, have a lot of fun with them, maybe, watch them learn stuff about food, maybe prepare new meals and shit, go on side quests, or quests in general, and meet new people. And then at the end, there's a story. And...
I feel like the problem with... I really enjoyed this show, but I feel like the problem, and I think you'll agree, is that it kind of gets going too late.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, it really takes its time to introduce that town to us, all the characters to us, and then it says like, oh, no, actually, this is what this is about, at least partially, and there's more to come. And that, like you said, happens very late, in the last 2 episodes or something. I mean, there are teases some throughout the series, but they're not really substantial. They're mostly in the background, 1 or 2 episodes aside, maybe, if that. And you're right.
Which is why I'm sitting here like, where's my second season?
Yeah,
where is it?
I think the stuff they tease, in terms of the character reveals at the end, and where it actually goes with the story, is really like promising in terms of what they might actually do with season 2 if they actually, say like, hey, okay, now this is full plot shit, and not like 90%, just hanging out. I mean, the hanging out is fine. It's fun. It's like lighthearted, fun. It's very relaxing to watch in a way if you're not, like I said, really turned off by super shrill voices. But, it's turn your brain off kinda in a way. I mean, some of the jokes are not that stupid, so you don't always have to turn off your brain, but, it sometimes helps. And just enjoy the good feels. Just enjoy the friendship, the fluffy feelings overall. And, all the beautiful fucking colors, which we haven't mentioned yet, John. The look of the show, it's good.
Oh my god. Honestly, I went into the show thinking like, oh, it's gonna be a throwaway, whatever. The show looks so good. Oh, yeah. And so consistent from beginning to end.
The fight scenes are fucking amazing. I didn't expect that. Really good. They're really good. I mean, mobile game adaptations can have, big budgets too. But like you said, the way the consistency here is the thing that was really mind-blowing to me. It was like, hey, these models look sharp all the fucking time. And every time there's a fight scene, there are not that many, but there are some. And when a fight scene happens, they go all out in terms of effects, in terms of animation, Sakuga, everything, soundtrack, sound effects. For a minute, I thought the JoJo's guy was doing the sound editing again, but apparently he didn't. But there's a lot of impact to the sounds as well. And yeah, the fight scenes are really well choreographed. There's some really good action choreography here. Even the CG shadow monsters look quite good and are surprisingly well animated, which, you don't get to say often in anime. So, yeah, if you want to check out a good-looking show from last season, Princess Connect got you covered, I would say.
Man, apparently Kanasaki did the sound direction as well.
Okay, all right.
And so he directed it, he did the composition, he scripted like all but one episode. He was posting storyboards on his Twitter account, which is actually really cool to see. So he did the legwork on this, like super hard.
Was he responsible for the game as well?
I mean, I don't know who at Cygames is heading up the game specifically, but that I'm not sure about.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting to see. And the reason I'm asking this is because I wonder if this is going to be like Kanasaki's, hey, I want to stay with the humor of Konosuba, but I want to do something more substantial story-wise and plot-wise. And if that is going to happen in the second season, if he was involved with the game at all. If not, he doesn't really have that much leeway, probably, because the story is set by the game already. So I wonder if he was involved in that at all, or if he's going to do his own thing, or if he's going to do an adaptation of the story, so his version. It would be interesting to me. Or if he's just like, hey, I'm adapting this story from the game and putting my brand of kinetic humor in it and action scenes and everything. So I wonder.
I'd have to do more research on that because I'm having trouble pulling up like specific staff names from the game.
Okay.
So, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll find out afterwards. Can put a link in the show notes or something. But yeah, it's fun times. I mean, John, you tend to gravitate to these kind of shows, and I don't mean mobile game adaptations or light novel adaptations. You already said those two are usually the bane of our anime existence. But, more, let's say, more eccentric shows, more lighthearted, more comedy-focused, more slice-of-life-ish in a way. Was this the only thing, aside from the visuals and everything, and, the game that you were interested, that kept you going throughout the show? Or what was the main hook for you while you were watching it?
I don't know how to narrow it down to, like, one thing. Because, I mean, honestly, Monday is not a great day of the week.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I was always looking forward to Mondays because of this show. Because I don't know, even though it didn't, the plot sort of stalls and it doesn't really, get to its real crux for this, the story they were telling. I don't know, man. I was just looking forward to it every week, seeing like, what kind of stupid adventures is Yuki and company gonna get into today, and and to see more of the incredible animation and to hear the wonderful music. We didn't even talk about fucking Yasunori Nishiki, same composer for Grand Blue, because of course it's the same crew. he and his crew of a whole bunch of others from Cygames wrote the music for this. So the music is also fantastic. The intro theme that we talked about is written by Kohei Tanaka, who has a very long resume of series and games that he's worked on. It's basically a Sakura Wars intro theme.
Yeah, it kind of is.
But I don't know what to say because everything about this kept me coming back, because I figured it would just, like I said, be a nothing mobile game adaptation that after 2 episodes I wouldn't care about. But I just wanted to see, because I think it's because I don't know a lot about the game. So I wanted to get to know the characters and see, their interactions and, see what they're like, because you can see a character, the character's drawings online and all the PNGs that you can pull for in game if you want to boil the game down to be your stupid Skinner box experience. But seeing the writing behind it, being able to really experience that was probably one of the driving forces for me being like, yeah, I want to watch more of this. I want to get to know these characters and what they're all about. So, just getting to see them interact and all the goof ass shit that comes in between. I was like, I totally am down for this show, and I really enjoy it, and I want more of it. I just want more of it, man.
I'd be interested to see to check out the second season. I mean, like I said, I don't gravitate to these more heavy shows where it's like mostly just comedy focus and a bit of plot in the side. I mean, Konosuba was not that heavy on the. It kind of was, but it was also like you mentioned, it's more mean-spirited humor was kind of something I like, and that I'm interested in, and I derive fun from. And for this, it was like, okay, I like the side characters. I like there's some teases for the story. I mean, some things are really obvious when it comes to what is actually happening here in terms of actual plot. Like, I think in the first or second episode, there's a giant mechanical clock in the background, which kind of gives away the gimmick of this in a way, if you pay attention. But still, like, the way they integrate that, the way they do the stuff with the characters, and how some of the things they do with our 4 mains, and how that pays off later, at least for 2 of them, for Carol and Pecorine, in the end, was satisfying. And yeah, I was just, there were some things, of course, that were not my cup of tea in a way. Like, you said it was more evenly paced than in Azure Lane, and Azure Lane, but for me it was still kind of like overkill at certain points. At one point I was just thinking, Jesus Christ, I think we need a new way to describe such a large assembly of waifus or this kind of genre, maybe a Pokemon-like or a Pokemon of girls, like a murder of crows, gotta catch them all or something. It's like, holy shit, like how many more are you fucking gonna throw at me? But like I mentioned before, some of them, had a very integral part in the story, kinda, or at least in some part of the quest, or made you feel like you were becoming more part of that town and were getting more familiar with its residents and everything. So, they served the purpose. They were not only there for eye candy. So I was fine with them as soon as I realized that. Not all of them, like I said, some were really grating to me. But, I could see past that and, concentrate on the things that I liked about the show. For the listeners and for people who are maybe tangentially interested in checking this out, I don't know what... It all depends on what your expectations are from the show going into this. If you are going into it for the comedy, for having fun times, like relaxing, enjoying, the character interactions, enjoying some funny jokes, some heartfelt moments, some interesting plot tidbits here and there, a few nice pieces of character development by the end there, then you will probably have a good time. If you want a big portion of the show to be plot, If you want some serious tones, some more darker tones, there are some in there, but not that many. If you are averse, like completely turned off by cute, ditzy moe girls, then this show is probably not for you. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you can see past that, but if that is completely not your cup of tea, if you like look at these kind of shows and are like, this is not something I like to watch, then maybe also this show is not for you. I can't tell. I usually don't, like I said, gravitate to these kind of shows, but this show I could keep with. Like, that show didn't make me want to turn it off. So
that makes
I guess that's a compliment.
That makes me glad.
Yes. Yeah, there was enough in here that kept me going, that was interesting to me, and that, strung me along for the moments where it's like, this is too much for me. So, yeah, I think there's enough in Princess Connect Redive to watch this entire season and maybe hope for a second season and see where it goes.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
So what are your wishes for the second season? What do you want? Do you want more mostly fun times? Do you want more plot focused than the first season? What is your wish list?
Well, now that we kind of know what the stakes are, I would like to see the plot, get pushed forward. I know what they're driving at with the current story was the first year of the game, and I don't honestly know if there's a lot of story beyond that because I don't know what's in the game, to be perfectly honest. So, you could still do some more building and having more of, the side characters appear in between, sure, but I just want to see a certain someone get their comeuppance.
Yeah, oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, holy shit. That character really needs to get what's coming for them.
And I mean, if you want to bring back Kanasaki to do the second season, I'm not going to say no because clearly he knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, I hope they bring him back because I think a lot of the stuff that works about the show is because of his influence. So I don't know if I would like the second season as much if he wasn't involved.
And I mean, you can tell he and the crew he assembled, they care about this.
Yeah. I don't know why. I mean, except for maybe if there are production conflicts because Kanasaki wants to work on something else or something. That happens. Look at One Punch Man. But unless that happens, I don't see why they would change the crew. That show got good ratings, that at least in terms of reviews, people liked it, so it would seem, and I don't know how many people actually watched it, but if the game is successful, probably enough. Yeah, I would assume there will be a second season by the same team. I
mean, I think Precone is like one of Cygame's big money makers behind like Shadowverse and Grand Blue, so
there you go, and Shadowverse and Grand Blue got anime, and Grand Blue got several, so we'll see.
Maybe World Flipper will be next.
We'll see.
I mean, I say that, but I'd still like an English version of World Flipper because, hey, it's a pinball-based RPG. Sure, why not?
I wonder how they would turn that into an anime. Actually, that's interesting. Okay.
Who knows? But Princess Connect Redive was great. I want more of it. I think you probably maybe want more of it too.
Yeah, if the second season is more plot driven, definitely.
Yes. I mean, if any of what we said is enticing to you, the show's on Crunchyroll and Verve, so, check it out.
And that is a wrap on the 97th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vit.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. Our show is available on most of the popular podcast services, but it's always worth visiting animebrainfreeze.com for our review index and more. Leave us comments and questions on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at AnyBrainFreeze, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in, we hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next episode. Macht's gut!
Take care, everybody. Next time on Anime Brain Freeze.
Shady shenanigans in a false Zootopia.
And fatherhood is tough, but is keeping a secret tougher?